Like Hayao Miyazaki, last time I said this was my final video on Yandere Dev, I was lying. Since last week, there's been more allegations and more responses, with more people bringing up old situations and new situations alike, levying more claims against Yandere Dev, and Yandere Dev responding in a blog post titled Moving Forward and a Patreon post titled So What Now. Once again, we have a lot to discuss in regards to Yandere Dev, and once again I find myself questioning how I always find myself returning to this subject. If you didn't catch my last video about this situation, I would suggest watching that before this one so that you're caught up. Thanks for the support in that video, and if you'd like to subscribe because you really appreciate that I made that video and you're very grateful towards me, right? You guys are very grateful, right? Click the button. Come on. Just press it. As you may know, I appear on camera pretty often. As such, I care a lot about my appearance. I've seen real comments nitpicking and breaking down every noticeable flaw in my appearance, even down to the thickness of my hair. And this is a true story, by the way. My own mother contacted me last week about how she reported a hate comment like this. Which, outside of being really funny, makes me rather concerned that she might be watching these videos. But if she is, love you, mum. That's why I'm proud to announce that this video is sponsored by MD Hair, the science-supported hair loss solution. That's also why you're seeing my hair for like the first time when I don't really show it on camera without a hat on. Just ignore it, you'll get used to it. MD Hair boasts uniqueness as a hair loss or hair thickening solution due to the customization of their product. By analyzing a photo of your scalp and your answers to their quiz, they can provide you a customized treatment kit, which will give you the perfect solution for your hair care needs. Their treatment kit includes several products with their own effects and natural ingredients. The kit includes everything you could need to start your hair growth, heal your scalp, and make your hair stronger, providing you with shampoo, conditioner, marine collagen, serum, and supplements. In my experience, MD Hair products have been easy to use, left a nice scent in the air, and have had a noticeable impact on my hair, making it thicker and increasing its volume. Out of the products I was sent, I found the supplements to be my favorite due to their convenience. I'm someone who tries to schedule their time pretty particularly, so something like that I can put in a routine is great. With that being said, for my viewers, MD Hair are offering a 70% discount off the first monthly kit if you use my link in the description and enter promo code HarleyTBS70. Thank you to MD Hair for sponsoring this video, and with that being said, let's get back to your regularly scheduled program. By that I mean I'm putting a hat back on now. On October the 1st, Yandere Dev released a blog post titled Moving Forward, where he says the following.
I've been exhibiting horribly self-destructive behavior on a regular basis for a long time now. As a result of the many conversations I've had over the past few days, I think I can pinpoint the cause. My downward spiral is the result of consistently making incredibly unwise lifestyle choices that have caused my mental health to deteriorate massively over time. It didn't hit me until recently just how bad things had gotten. Haven't left the house since July 2019. 2019! Oh my god! No real life acquaintances, 16 plus hours on the computer every day not programming the game. No vacations in half a decade, prioritizing work. It shouldn't be any surprise whatsoever that when you allow both your body and mind to completely waste away, you dissolve into a mistake machine. A person that is capable of making nothing but bad decisions, who exists solely to cause problems for others.
From the start of this document, it already seems like Yandere Dev is trying to minimize what he actually did, talking about how these unhealthy life choices have caused his mental health to deteriorate. And while there is probably a lot of truth to that, I don't believe that Yandere Dev has a healthy life, if that makes sense. Ultimately, it's still an excuse. He uses the justification of having problems within his personal life that are entirely caused by his own decisions as the backing of his argument as to why he's just a mistake machine, which severely minimizes the actual decisions he's made. And as I said in my last video, it's not a fair representation of what he actually did. Writing down the wrong answer on a school test is a mistake. Sending inappropriate messages to someone who still needs to take tests in school is not. Just like in his last blog post, Yandere Dev does not go in detail on what he was accused of and what he admitted to within this document, instead choosing to focus solely on throwing a pity party for himself and the fact his entire game is falling apart at the seams as everyone involved start to leave. I've said this before in other videos and I'll say it again, I always appreciate when someone will actually directly address what they've done without watering it down for their audience. If you can be honest and tell the truth about what you did, even if it makes you look bad, I think that goes a long way in showing that you regret what you did. And while people won't forgive you just because you regret what you did, it will make your apology land a little better. Ultimately, what Yandere Dev did was an intentional and insidious thing, and there is no justification for it. Most people are able to go about their life making mistakes, sure, but not inappropriately involving themselves with 16-year-olds at 35. And I think it needs to be said that all of the problems listed here are caused by Yandere Dev's own action or inaction and aren't the blame of anyone else. I think that once you show that you cannot be trusted with a position of power like being a public figure, that you do not get a second chance. You were incredibly blessed to be put in a position that so many people would dream for, so many people would kill for. To have major public figures like PewDiePie cover your game and have a massive financial backing off of your successful YouTube channel and Patreon page. You took advantage of the position you were put in and exploited someone who was not only a fan, but also a child in the process. The severity of that cannot go understated, and any suggestion that you could return to your platform and continue to make the game following this point should be immediately shut down. I think you should work on your mental health and improve who you are as a person, not for any prospect of returning to your career or the position you were previously in, but because the people in your life deserve better and other people shouldn't have to put up with the fact that you are this bad. If you work on who you are, at least outside of your career, you can actually do something with your life.
Since the last blog post, a lot of people have reached out to me to share the same advice. See a therapist. Get hobbies that don't involve a computer or TV screen. Step away from game development. You're already doing that. You weren't working on the game already. But sure, step away from game development for a few months. All of it can be summarized as start making healthy life choices that will turn you into not a... And I honestly can't argue with that. This might sound like a really random time to launch into an anecdote, but I'd like to mention something really quick. Recently, somebody messaged me to tell me something. A few years ago, when his girlfriend was on the verge of she sent me fan mail. I responded to her to thank her for her kind words. Apparently, this cheered her up so much that she stopped thinking about herself. She's still alive today. He just wants to tell me, thank you for saving my girlfriend's life.
But you can't do this to me. I started this company. You know how much I sacrificed?
I've seen enough excuses from Yandere Dev across the years to justify his many mistakes that I think what he's doing here is blatant and obvious. Yeah, I know both of those words are synonymous. We're not going to talk about how bad my script writing is. I think starting a follow-up response to allegations of predatory behavior by talking about all the good you've done for people actually has the inverse effect, because it makes it more obvious to the people reading it that your intent is just to make them believe that you're a good person and forgive you, when you've actually done nothing to change. I'm sure that this was a moment very close to your heart, but it has no relevance being in a response to allegations of this sort, and honestly, I think there's only so many times that you can play a card like this before it becomes way too overused. I've seen Yandere Dev respond to way too many controversies to ever be able to see this response as anything other than insidious and underhanded. But to be honest, I don't think that actually matters here, because this response wasn't made for me. This response was not made for anyone who's ever spoke negatively about Yandere Dev or supported a video that spoke negatively about him, because those people were never going to support Yandere Simulator again in the first place. This is a desperate attempt at winning over people who are still on the fence after hearing the allegations about Yandere Dev but really like the project. People who have been fans of Yandere Simulator for years or are too young to understand how severe this situation is. Playing the nice guy who's being cancelled by a mob for making a mistake makes Alex look a lot better to people who aren't fully informed on the situation, or people who are more willing to believe him than anyone else. And I'll tell you now that for a lot of people, this kind of response has actually worked in winning them over. If you read his comments on these blog posts, though I believe that he's deleted a lot of negative comments towards himself, most of these comments are incredibly positive, saying they forgive him, or that he made a mistake, or that they don't even think what he did was really that bad. And this is the response that he's looking for. He's still trying to present himself as some good person who made a mistake because he neglected his mental health, and not because he actively chose to do a malicious and predatory act.
I keep thinking about that story and other stories like it. Times when someone reached out to me to let me know that I cured their depression or saved their life. Those stories make me feel like I have the potential to affect the world in a positive way. But that's only if I stop making such dumb decisions all the time. And I can only stop making dumb decisions if I get healthy. And the only way to get healthy is to start making better life choices. If I want to do more good than harm to the world, I have to get my head straight. That might involve spending less time at the PC, less time on the internet, and less time developing the game. Bro! A lot of people have been asking me if the recent controversy will cause me to stop developing the game, or give the game away to another developer. I'm not ready to answer those questions. I will need to do a tremendous amount of thinking before I can make any monumental decisions like that. I really enjoy working in Yandere Simulator when you can be bothered to work. If I didn't, then I wouldn't be willing to do it consistently. continuously is a stretch. The thought of taking time away from it makes me feel incredibly sad. But neglecting absolutely every aspect of my mental and physical health has caused me to devolve into a danger to myself and others. And that's not something I want to be. I don't take a step away from development, but perhaps I should. At least long enough to decide the best way to proceed from here. The project doesn't need to outright die, but it definitely should be paused until I have made significant progress towards evolving into a much healthier person.
I think based on his first statement here about having the potential to affect the world in a positive way, that what he's really asking for in this blog post is a second chance. He wants people to forgive him and forget and move on. But I think that Yandere Dev has gone way too far and has been given way too many chances with all of the controversy he's been in, that the fact he's still at a platform till now was already shocking as is. So to find out that he believes that after doing all of this, after taking advantage of his platform to do something like this, he still believes that he can recover this somehow, is just shocking. He should give up on Yandere Simulator and move on with his life. He should focus on getting healthy and becoming a regular person in society. I don't mean to repeat myself, but he's had his chance and he wasted it. I will give some leeway here on his response to the question of whether he would stop developing the game or give the game away. Him saying that he's not ready to answer those questions is kind of fair. I do believe it would require a tremendous amount of thinking before you could make a decision like that when this has been something you've spent years of your life on. Though I think everyone knows what the right decision would be to make here, and I think he knows it too. He shouldn't be developing this game anymore. He shouldn't have a public platform anymore. He should just return to his regular life. Not that he really had much of a life, but he could definitely make one for himself with all the money he has from Yandere Simulator. He shouldn't be given a second chance. Or a third chance, or a fourth chance, or how many chances are we on now? I think there's only one part of this entire blog post where he truly and directly responds to the situation, and that's when he says, neglecting absolutely every aspect of my mental and physical health has caused me to devolve into a danger to myself and others, and that's not something I want to be. We can interpret how honest he's being in this statement in a million different ways depending on how credible you think Yandere Dev's word is, which to most people, it isn't. Personally, I think starting this sentence by setting up the excuse for yourself that this is because you neglected your mental and physical health is cowardly, but I don't believe he actually does want to be a danger to other people. I don't think many people who do the things Yandere Dev has done actually want to be that kind of person, but he is that kind of person, and until he changes, he's going to remain that kind of person. And I don't know if I believe Yandere Dev really can change.
Over the years, Yandere Simulator and myself have been through countless controversies. I'm sorry for not properly addressing most of these controversies, and for responding to some of those controversies in ways that only made things worse. There are still a lot of things I want to address in a proper manner one day, but now is not the time.
I think it speaks volumes about how bad this situation is that Yandere Dev is talking about how he failed to address prior controversies, because this is not a guy known for acknowledging wrongdoing. I mean, he has an entire debunk page dedicated to responding to these allegations and making excuses for himself. But it's too little and too late. He's had his chance to respond to all of these controversies, and he failed to respond to every single one of them. And now he's done something so heinous that no one will ever forgive him. It's too late, and it's been too late for a while. If you wanted to be a better person, you should have actually been a better person. You don't get the chance to work backwards and try and undo what's already happened. That's not how this works. You've hurt way too many people for way too long. Not that I actually think he ever would properly address all of his controversies though. I think he's just saying this because it will make him look better. I think if he really wanted to address them properly, he would have done it off of his own back, and not now that he's been pushed into a corner. And I think if he really did want to respond to them, he probably would have done it in this blog post. Saying he's going to do it one day means he'll probably push it back and never actually do it. And he would only ever do it in the event where people were forgiving him, which means it would never be an honest apology. If you wanted to properly show you'd learned and changed, you would already have proof in the actions and decisions you've made that would show that was the case. You wouldn't suddenly start making progress the day you respond. People who have made a mistake and want to actually resolve that mistake have normally been going to therapy for quite a while and actually working on themselves, so when they make a response to the situation, you can see that there's progress already being made. But in this case, I think his statement here rings hollow. You aren't sorry for what you did, you just regret being caught.
I'd like to thank the animators, artists, composers, modelers, voice actors, and YouTubers who have helped make Yandere Simulator into what it is today. If we won't continue on this journey together, I'll always remain thankful to you for the assistance that you have once granted me. I received a lot of messages since the last blog post. Many of them were harsh, rightfully so. But there were also a lot of messages equivalent to, I want to see you improve your mental health and finish your game. I've been following the project for 8+ years, and I don't want to see it end like this. Yandere Simulator's audience has shrunken over the years. For good reason, the game fucking sucks. But despite everything, there are still a lot of people in this world who love Yandere Simulator. They love the characters, the setting, and the story. They enjoy speculating about what will happen towards the end of the game, what occurred in the unrevealed parts of the backstory, and what plot twists might be waiting in the lore. They want to learn how the Aishi condition began, what secrets the Psycho family is hiding, and what's underneath the cherry tree. I don't want to let them down. I owe it to them. For giving me 9 years of their attention, I owe them answers, I owe them satisfaction, I owe them closure. I don't want to cancel the game. I want to keep developing it. But I don't think I can do that if I keep being a mistake machine. I need to find a much better work/life balance. Because the current balance of one, that is bullshit, I'm sorry. That made me drop the headphones. That's bullshit. Because the current balance of 100 to 0 has led me to nothing but a severely damaged psyche and behavior that is as destructive to others as it is to myself. I can't guarantee when will be the next time that I will write a blog post. I'm not even sure what the next blog post will be about. A big announcement, a bug fixing build, or something completely different. It's hard to tell what the future is going to hold. But I just wanted to let you know that I probably won't be posting as frequently as I previously was, or updating the game as frequently as I previously was. All of the steps that I need to take to become a better person involve spending less time in this chair and more time outdoors. During my time away, I'll be spending a lot more time thinking about exactly how I should proceed from this point forward. I'll be considering all possible options, even the uncomfortable ones, such as reducing the scope of the game to make it into a project that would be easier to finish with limited resources, and the absolute last resort of handing off development to someone else. For what it's worth, I apologize for everything, and I thank you for following the development of Yandere Simulator.
Yeah, it's a pile of garbage.
Yeah, this is shit.
I could make so many responses and so many comments to what was said at the end of this blog post, but I think that what I would say has already been said in this video, my past video, and previous videos I've made on Yandere Dev in the past. If he actually wanted to work on Yandere Simulator, I think that would be indicative in the progress made towards the game. If these were mistakes, I think he would have showed change, and I don't believe something as severe as what he did could even be considered a mistake. I think that he doesn't actually care about what he did wrong, he just wants to appear as if he's learned and changed because it will benefit his image and mean that people are more likely to forgive him. I think most of this blog post is filler, where he throws a pity party for himself and feels bad for himself about the fact that it's all ended this way. And I think he's as aware as we are that the comments he's receiving from people saying they still want Yandere Simulator to be made are from people who are too young or too ignorant to the situation to understand how bad it truly is. This isn't a situation where you can just return and keep working on the game without any major backlash. People aren't going to move past what Yandere Dev did here. His mental and physical health being disregarded was not the fault of him working on Yandere Simulator. It was the fault of himself and his own decisions. If he actually wanted to work on himself, he would make those steps. He wouldn't sit here wallowing in his own self-pity complaining about it. He's already discussing his future blog posts in this blog post about what he might be doing next, as if he's just going to move past this and forget it ever happened, but nobody is going to forget about this. It's not hard to tell what the future is going to hold. Yandere Simulator, as we know it, is over, and I doubt my opinion on that will ever change. I hope he works on himself and improves himself, not because of Yandere Simulator or because of the prospect of getting his platform back, but because he actually wants to become a better person. And with that being said, I think we should move on to his Patreon post, because this is where I think what Yandere Dev is actually trying to say becomes a little more clear.
Well, by now, you guys have probably already heard about everything. I did something careless that has resulted in a massive controversy, and as a result, a lot of Yandere Simulator's volunteers have departed from the project. In some cases, they've even asked me to remove their contributions from the game as well. How will this impact the future of the project? Well, in order to make an educated and informed decision about how I should move forward from here, I will need to evaluate a lot of information. How many volunteers have departed from the project? Which ones specifically requested for their contributions, animations, art, models, music, textures, voice lines to be removed? How many assets will need to be replaced? How difficult and or time consuming will it be to replace those assets? How many people are still willing to assist me? Are they capable of replacing the assets that need to be replaced? The answer to these questions will determine the best way to proceed forward with the project. Will it be possible to replace everything that has... It's Uni assets! Will it be possible to replace everything that has been lost within the span of a few weeks? Or is it something that is going to take months? Should I drastically reduce the scope of the project in order to reduce the number of assets necessary to finish it? The only way to arrive at the answers to these questions is to look through all of the correspondence that I have received over the past week. I nailed the word correspondence. I'm so proud, holy shit. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the immediate future. Until I've had an ample time to develop a full understanding of the situation, it's just not possible to make a meaningful decision about what should happen next. Didn't you already talk about this like last post?
The tone of this Patreon post is entirely different to the tone of his blog post. Considering they were posted on the same day, it is bizarre how one of them discusses how he doesn't know what the future of the project is, he hasn't made a decision on any plan for the future, and how he's going to work on his mental health. And this post, the one to his financial supporters, he talks about all the volunteers that have left the project and how he wants to put the project back together, focusing specifically on how he can replace the assets within the game, how long it will take to do that, whether he should reduce the scope of the project. And I think that this speaks volumes about how much Yandere Dev actually wants to change and how much he just wants to appear like he wants to change. I believe that volunteers who asked to have their parts of Yandere Simulator removed were entirely within their rights, as they were volunteers, and I think that it will make a major impact on whether Yandere Simulator can actually be finished. I think it's a major red flag that in one of his blog posts he talks about how he's going to focus on improving his mental and physical health for the future, and in this blog post he talks about how he's going to spend the immediate future going through all of the emails he's received to see whether he can resolve the issues. One of these posts seems a lot more like Yandere Dev than the other, and I think it's obvious which one I'm referring to. But the part I find so pertinent to discuss from this post that I decided to include it within my video is what Yandere Dev says following what he just said.
At this point in time, there are only 4 things I can say for certain. I have received an avalanche of support. Supportive messages over the past few days, begging me to not give up on the game. A lot of people are deeply attached to Yandere Simulator, and I don't want it to end like this. Their worst nightmare would be to see me cancel or quit the project, and I feel the same way. A lot of people who reached out to me over the past few days were animators, artists, composers, modelers, and voice actors who want to help me recover from this massive setback by providing any assets I need in order to restore the game to the state it was in before. It's too early to say anything for certain, but making a full recovery is starting to appear feasible. I consider the notion of giving the project to another developer to be the absolute last resort. I'm too attached to the game to let it go. It's not like I'm completely unwilling to consider the possibility, but I want to consider all other possible options before I accept it as a valid choice. It was probably a massive mistake to allow the game's scope to grow as large as it did. I put myself into a position where I'm completely reliant on a massive team of volunteers, and I can't finish the game without a massive budget requiring a successful crowdfunding campaign. Perhaps the smartest thing to do right now would be to simply reduce the scope of the game to something that can reasonably be expected of one man. Perhaps back in 2015, I never should have made the choice to add voice acting to the game. It was a decision that has only served to increase the number of assets, money, and people that would be required to finish the game. Perhaps reducing the game's scope to a game without any voice acting would be the best move for the project. No need for a crowdfunding campaign if I don't have to worry about hiring dozens of voice actors after all. He wasn't even paying them. I wish I could paint a clear picture for you of the future of the project, but I won't be able to form a complete mental image of the situation until I have finished going through all of the correspondence I've received. Seriously, hundreds of emails. Oh my god. He's doing it again. He's spending hours reading emails.
I have so many emails, guys. If only I had the choice to just stop fucking reading them.
Seriously, hundreds of emails. I'm not exaggerating. I still don't know who has left the project, who remains, who wants to pull their assets, how many new volunteers are stepping up to help, how much positive sentiment remains, etc. I just need to keep going through emails until I've developed a comprehensive understanding of the situation. If you're reading this post, it means you saw me as being worthy of your support. I apologize if I've disappointed you, and I promise that, at this moment at least, abandoning the project is the last thought on my mind. I genuinely do want to continue development. I just need time to analyze the situation and form a plan. I apologize for any disappointment, and I thank you for supporting the development of Yandere Simulator.
In comparison to the last 2 blog posts, this post comes across as a lot more soulless and corporate. Like he doesn't actually care about what he did wrong, and now he's just focusing on how this will affect Yandere Simulator. I don't understand why he is going from this angle considering what he did. I believe if he actually felt guilty for what he did, he would be focusing on actually trying to be a better person and making it up to the people he's hurt. Not once again talking about his stupid fucking game. We're now up to 3 individual posts about this situation, and I don't believe he's properly apologized to the victim once. He only cares about how this will affect Yandere Simulator and not how his actions have actually hurt people. and I think that is obvious. I think it's safe to say that based on how he presents his personal life as being awful, he doesn't have anything at all outside of this game, and that is probably why it's the only thing he can think of. It's almost comical seeing him talk about the avalanche of supportive messages he's received begging him not to give up on the game. When you take a look outside of this echo chamber of positive messages and realize how large the degree of negativity towards Yandere Simulator and Yandere Dev is following these allegations, there is no comparison between the positive and negative reception he's received following these allegations because one side so clearly outweighs the other. For some reason, he's under this impression that a full recovery is feasible, when I don't believe it is. I do not believe it's possible for Yandere Simulator to have a successful crowdfunding campaign following this, and I do not believe that the support the game will receive following this point will be anything comparable to what it was before. I believe this project is dead in the water, and any final project that would be released after making this full recovery would never compare with the project he was originally aiming to make. I think he would have to make a lot of concessions, and I think at this point he should just give up. I also find it rather surprising that it's taken him this long to realize that it was a mistake to allow the game to grow to this size. As long as Yandere Simulator has been in development, people have been telling him that he needed to pull back the scope of the game and just release what he promised. He's never done that, and the fact he's only just realized that that's what he should have done after over 9 years is crazy. I had to choke back a laugh the first time I read this post and saw that he was saying voice acting was the reason behind the problems with Yandere Simulator, because everyone is aware of how bad the code in Yandere Simulator is, how much extra work it caused the Yandere dev to have to go through, how many opportunities he had for help from people like TinyBuild who are willing to help him finish the game, and the fact he kept putting unnecessary features in the game that were only there to make it more silly and not actually progress the game towards its final release. All of these posts have missed the mark on what Yandere Dev needed to say to actually win people back over, though I do believe that they are very insightful into his actual mental state as of making this video. None of us know what the future holds with this situation, but I think it's safe to say that Yandere Simulator is over. With that being said though, I think this might be the last time I cover Yandere Simulator. Oh no. Thank you very much.
No problem, Holly. Are we getting paid for this stone, right?